You are being recorded, so speak up.
Time is Patrick. And who's going to take Stack? Go ahead. Good. Thank you. He has a notebook. He can help you out.
No. That's just for me to scribble what I want to say.
Can I have a piece of paper?
You can have as much paper as you want. How many do you
I
want?
think
Just one is
is
enough.
good.
You started one, you need more, you'll get more.
Okay. Thank you.
There are. I thought Karen would be here. Are you going to do a report back on the amendment?
I wasn't planning on it.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I don't even know if we
You're going to do NDAA.
Very short, 5
Okay,
minutes.
no problem.
Less than that.
Brady,
Ed Brady. Ed.
Jared, you're going to do a little bit of a report back on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Are you doing anything on quorum? Anything following up?
About time
Okay.
you did it.
Quorum, and I had on there discussion of what to do about money and politics in general. I've been bringing the amendment forward, but I'm starting to sense that that's not what people want to do. So,
Well, that's the one I was talking about, the constitutional amendment. That's
right.
so you want to just brief or anything? You want to just get it off the table? What do you
Sure.
want to do?
Yeah, we can do that. I just
Do what? That was an either-or question.
What was the choice?
Do you want to talk about it or do you not want to talk about it?
I do want to talk.
Okay, so then you're on.
But but not about specifics, about generalities.
And Alexa, one more time. Should we just get a feel for live streaming and anywhere we want to go with that?
It's up to you. I mean, how do
Yeah,
you
I'd
wanna
like
do the
to.
agenda?
Definitely. Okay, and as far as proposals go, we have the Twitter proposal, which I think, I have a proposal that I'd like to move Thursday's meeting up a little bit by a half an hour, if possible. I don't think we started doing 8 o'clock because one person couldn't make it for 7:30. So now that person is longer attending, I'd like to move it up a little earlier. We can get out a little earlier if it's okay. And Karen was going to be here for outreach. I don't know if she's still coming. And that's it. Everybody familiar with how the meeting works? Are you going to be contributing?
If I may,
Please, I hope so.
What's your name again?
Victoria.
Victoria. Okay, if you agree with something somebody's saying, you wave your little fingers. If you're not really caring for it, you go in the middle. And if you totally disagree, it's down.
No,
okay?
totally. Yeah.
Well,
That's totally.
if you totally disagree, he's right. It's a block. If somebody's speaking out of turn or not following the discussion matter, it's point of process. You guys can use that on me all day if you want. If you have a point of information, it's point of information. And if somebody's going rambling, then you want them to wrap it up? No, we don't.
And if you cannot hear them.
And if you cannot hear them, I'll translate for you. No, it's up. Did I miss anything? Shall we begin? Patrick, you want to take it, go with constitutional amendment on money and politics, whatever?
Okay.
5 minutes. Who's taking time?
Shall we do a report back?
Who's taking time? You?
I am.
You are?
Are we doing
Patrick, make sure you
reports
time
first?
yourself.
Are we
I'm
doing a
timing
report back?
myself, baby.
Shall are we doing a report back?
This is report backs.
Oh, okay, you doing a report back.
Right.
Okay.
Does anybody want to summarize last meeting, or we're okay to just move on? Read the minutes.
Listen to him.
There are no
to it.
minutes.
Listen.
I'll give you a briefing after the meeting, okay?
So I'm not sure if this is a time really to do this, but if folks want to stop me, we'll talk about it later. That's fine. I'm at the point personally where those of you who have been around have seen a constitutional amendment that I've been trying to get the group to sort of workshop with me. I'm starting to feel like maybe it's the wrong thing. Totally. And I guess I would like to hear from you on what you think we should be doing. I think many of us would agree money in politics is a core issue. I think calling ourselves political and electoral reform working groups sort of puts the mantle on us to take that up and deal with it. My personal thought has always been that a constitutional amendment is going to be needed in order to deal with this one way or another. Exactly what the text of the amendment is, or whatever, I don't know. But I'm starting to feel sort of lonely, and like maybe I've heard it referred to as Patrick's amendment, and this is these are all bad developments. I feel like really terrible developments, and I participated in them. So I throw it out to you, and maybe at some point later or now we can have a conversation about what our strategy is for dealing with this. At some point, the movement is going to have to make a statement. One hopes that it would come through us and be worked on. But maybe this isn't the right group in which to do that. I don't know. So I'm confused.
Question mark.
Point of information.
Sure. That was a minute 42.
No, but we need time for questioning. Point of information is at 1:30 we're discussing a constitutional convention, and that might be a part of it, and maybe you want to present it in that context, just so you know.
At 1:30?
At 1:30 on Sundays we meet, a
understand.
subgroup of.
Well,
I'm
we
aware
met.
of that.
We met.
I guess just a quick corollary to that is we have a number of subgroups. They're working on different things, and I feel like one of the stress points for me recently was that there's not a lot of coordination happening between the subgroups, right? So the CON folks are working to call a convention, which the object of which is not necessarily to get a convention, but to scare the establishment into giving us an amendment or two, right? So, or maybe it is to get a convention, but I feel like there's no clear strategy from the group, and maybe we need one, maybe we don't. But I don't know what's going on anymore.
Do we take Stack?
Stack is now
first question?
open for
Wait a minute,
questions.
Stack.
Okay, wait, no, he went first. He had a clarifying question.
Mine wasn't actually a question. It was just a statement about, like, I actually liked it a lot. I thought it was good to have something concrete that we can kind of put forward. You know, even if the amendment doesn't actually get it put in the Constitution, at least it's something, concrete that people can get behind, that we can kind of, throw a little weight to, like you said, scare the establishment.
Okay, it's Cock.
Yes, there are three paths. One of them is the viral call for an Article 5 convention. We have a group that's working on it. It's going to take a long time. We are nowhere near discussing substance on burning issues like this. Whatever we do, it will take time. Number two, what currently occurred, and I'd say in two areas, the subgroup of this work group, and a small group with which I've been involved called Restore Democracy, the general approach, we want the national legislature and state legislature to go through the process and pass a constitutional amendment, and there are about 5 of them already that came up, and that's what we have been pushing, and that's what our resolution, asking the city council to support it and so forth. That's another approach. I like it, except for one thing. Not do I like it, but what should OWS do? And there is a good argument, I'm going to say it quickly, that we should say, these are fine, we may support them, but if it was up to us, this is what an amendment would look like. And this is what Patrick is pushing for, okay? Yes, am I right? No, then explain to me where am I wrong.
Well, no, I'm just like, I don't want to be identified as pushing anything.
Advocating, asking to be considered.
I would like if we're going to work on constitutional amendments that we sort of do that collectively as opposed to differently, and that we agree both within the group and then hopefully in the movement. It builds strength and it builds unity. And we say, this is our problem, this is our solution, and we're not going home until we get it. I think that's how I see it. That's 5 minutes.
Next
Ma'am?
on Stack Me.
Yep.
The only thing,
Extend time, it's fine.
yeah, we go by 2 more minutes. Everybody in agreement?
It's
Sure.
I'm just doing like me.
She's doing her thing. Don't
She's
worry.
just recording you for the
Ignore her.
FBI. Don't worry. Go ahead.
Well, my whole point of contention with this, I thought the document you submitted was it tried to be way too detailed.
I'm withdrawing it, so we don't have to keep talking about it. I think it's better not to talk about it.
So then,
let's talk about what the plan is. I think.
Well, then I think the best
what's the
point
plan?
forward is have something general and get it out there and throw it to the GA and see what happens, and they'll tear it apart and make it bring points of contention. Let us not try. It's too narrow our scope to try to cover all of it. Next.
I'm done. I'm good. So they voiced my ideas. So I'm with them.
Strategically, I mean, with U.S. Day of Rage, our strategy towards this kind of issue, a constitutional amendment, is that it takes there's a brain wave process with the American public, and before we even approach an Article 5, you have to go through the traditional route, which would be for this Senate and the House of Representatives to pass this amendment. Now, if the Senate or the House of Representatives cannot pass an amendment, or if the parties present amendments that are not bipartisan, so they won't be passed by the other party and create current blockages, you create essentially the experience within the American public that says this process isn't working. This traditional mainstream process isn't working, therefore we're going to take it up a notch. And, it's like one step at a time. So I feel like strategically we should be focusing on traditional processes, running those out, seeing how far we can get with those, and then as everybody's learning curve, which is also important in this process, gets up to speed, we can actually then galvanize support for maybe more, not extreme, but more, I don't know. Detailed, or I'm going to use the word radical, but more radical actions like an Article 5 or occupying Capitol buildings or things of this nature.
I'm last on stack, so let me just quickly say that I think I kind of understand where you're coming from, and within this one group, there's so much going on, and even if we were able to get it together here, that we were all working on one thing, which I don't think we even necessarily want to do. I like the idea that you're working on a more comprehensive constitutional amendment, whereas what we in our subgroup may have been working on was more specific, and right now, and then what Constitutional Convention is working on is a whole other thing. And I think it's great that we're all doing different aspects of the same thing, because we don't know which one is going to work, and they're probably going to have to try all of them. And I think Yitzhak mentioned a totally different group that was working on a whole different set of amendments. I mean, and you'd have to bring it up with them and all the other subgroups.
I'm them.
Oh, but I'm sure there are a million other groups that are working on these things that we don't even know about because we don't have that capability. So I don't think that's something not to work on because other people are working on it too. I think we should continue and try to reach out to those people.
Do you have enough information to go and continue in whatever you needed to gather from the meeting, or do you have anything else you want to add?
No.
If not, we're going to move on to the next subject.
Nope.
You're okay?
Sure.
Okay, cool. Next on the agenda, you want to do... go ahead.
May I just ask something? I just heard during the weekend the lights are not on as bright as during the week.
Right.
And I was thinking about that because it looks darker than when I was here Thursday. So I think I'm not going to, it's a lot of work and a lot of wasted effort.
Also, keep in mind, on Thursdays at around, I think, 8:30, 9 o'clock, they dim the lights. It becomes
but during the day, there's light.
No, we're not here.
Yeah.
But we're not here.
You go for early evening, late afternoon, from 8 o'clock till 8 o'clock, roughly, or from 6 to 8 is going to be the best time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they dim the lights,
Yeah.
just like now.
And also go on the website and see who is meeting when, so that will give you an idea.
So, could I practice using, this is a digital and I will give you the pictures. Would you mind if I
Yeah, we'll
take
put them
a
on
few
our
pictures?
website.
After all these years,
Yeah.
you're still practicing?
Of course, always.
No,
And
I
want
have
to
a
have
jacket,
your
actually.
okay.
I just
Sure, go for it.
Okay.
Lex, you want to talk about NDAA?
Really briefly.
Please, yeah,
Or less
by all
than 5 minutes. So there is a shared document. It's a pirate pad document. Essentially, the whole point this was 2 weeks ago, we were discussing the FBI's definition of terrorism and sort of tying that to the Senate, the Congress, the Senate, yes, and the President and their signing of the NDAA. Obviously, this kind of for ratification by the General Assembly. This is a document that clearly needs a lot of thought. One would really have to sort of flesh out the detention clause within the NDAA, back it up. I mean, on reflection, it just needs a lot of work. Anybody who wants a link to the document, I'll send it to the whole group tonight. we're not finished with it. I think in the spirit of outrage at the NDAA, we sort of came up with this idea. But on reflection, many of us, either not working on the document or me reflecting on the document, realizes that if OWS is going to come out with a statement, it had better have a statement that's backed up with clarifications about what we mean when we say that the Senate and the President are terrorists. So that's it.
Any questions? SAC is open. Anybody want a question?
Oh, who are we?
The Political and Electoral Reform Working Group.
No, I mean, you were
Meaning
talking
the
about
people who had a
doing
link.
the NDAA document.
Yeah, the 4 people from the meeting 2 weeks ago asked for a link to, it was created by myself and Tim, and there are 2 other members who have access to this document who were interested in working on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Based on the FBI's definition of terrorism, our president and Congress could be.
No, I know, but I thought you
Construed as
said
terrorists.
I thought you said something about being from a different organization.
No. This
okay.
this was a idea that came up 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
I personally think that it's completely appropriate, but it's certainly, if it's going to get through the GA or have the OWS stamp of approval, it needs a lot more thought and clarification of terms and definitions, so that it's not just simply a provocative statement.
Any other questions? Let's move on.
Oh wait, yeah.
Go for
You
it.
said, are you going to put it on the forum, or are you going to send it?
What I'll do is I'll put the Pirate Pad link on the forum tonight. I'll post it so that people can find it, and so can the FBI. With my name on it. Yahoo!
We're all on
So we'll
there
never see you
now.
again. Is what you're saying.
Well, they're already
Thanks to
watching,
you,
so.
we're all there.
Yippee.
We're good? Jared, do you want to talk about end corporate personhood?
Okay.
Document.
I don't know how many of you guys were here on last Thursday when Tim brought our proposal to the meeting, because we were actually having our own subgroup meeting sort of at the same time, so we couldn't come. And it was, we thought, an important time-sensitive issue, because the New York City Council was about to vote on their resolution that does anyone not know about that? Okay, so and so we thought it was, and Tim thought it was, and I assumed that the people that were at the meeting who came to consensus on it, I mean, from Tim I heard that we got full consensus on everything that we were doing, so I assumed that everyone was cool with it, and we took that proposal to the GA on New Year's Eve, only to be, scattered to the wind by chaos and craziness. Although I was able to actually get out the proposal before all hell broke loose.
It was a great party, by the way.
It's a great party.
Of course, I left when the party started, but then I couldn't go back the following night, but other people from our subgroup went and tried again, only to be thwarted again. But this time they got a chance to have a discussion when they finally found a place to meet. I don't know where they ended up, but after like 2.5 hours of wandering the streets of Lower Manhattan, they found some place to meet. And they didn't have a formal GA, but they discussed the proposals, and we got some feedback that we needed to make some revisions. So I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but that proposal was basically slimmed down significantly as far as I'm concerned. If I was there, I don't know if I would have agreed to that, but the people who were actually there thought that it was a good idea. And, as a group, we decided it was a good idea. So they wanted to take out anything that could have been construed as a demand, even though all it was a call for support, as far as we were concerned, a support of the people who were working to get a constitutional amendment, and specifically for the New York City Council to support them in voting for the resolution. We weren't making any demands, but to placate the GA, we took out, a call for a constitutional amendment, and we took out support for the New York City Council. And then on Tuesday, they brought it back, and everyone was fine except for one person. I don't know. You were there, Patrick. You could probably give it better. I wasn't there. Again, I couldn't make it.
I had a tough time hearing it.
Was it you who brought that
There was
amendment?
No, there was somebody else.
Somebody else brought the
Somebody
amendment.
else, and although I was not in a good place, I wasn't involved in the. One of the things that happened was that I had a clarifying question, and it was never a concern, and it was never answered, and that really just jangled my nerves further. It was just a bad GA for me personally.
Yeah. Well, it was also
Okay.
like 7 degrees.
Hold on, before we get it back and forth. Stack is open.
Okay.
Alexa,
I don't know
want
if
to
this
get
is
a stack.
a point of information or a clarifying question. Based on this experience, which I'm glad you guys had this because we're all learning sort of where the GA is at. This nonprofit can't make political statements issue with the GA is certainly an issue we need to address in this group and bring towards the discussion towards the GA. And the second one is the whole idea of, well, we don't want to do political or electoral reform because we're trying to start from ground zero, or we also need to start to push those conversations into the GA so that we can get some clarity around what the philosophical issues are so that we can be effective.
Can I just respond to that?
Quickly.
I think if I was there, I would have made the argument that to literally insert the word support before, support people who are making the call for. I don't think we had that exact language, and I think if I was there to present that, I may have been able to convince some people because I cannot see how that is misinterpreted. Now, the person who demanded we would strip Occupy Wall Street from the document and only use New York City General Assembly, that to me is ridiculous and outrageous, and I would never have stood for it. I think we would have gotten modified consensus that night, from what I understood. But whatever, they did it. They wanted full consensus, and I'm fine with it.
I think I'm on it. My only point, and I don't know if I don't think I've seen you since, but my only point of contention through it all was, I wish you had actually done a report back to our group before presenting it, and I didn't block her because I voted to consent. But like I said, it would have been cool if we were, even though you didn't. And my thing was in your favor. I said that, throughout the whole process, you constantly posted on our page all the modifications and of the document. So that it wasn't hidden. But at the same time, it would have been nice if we had gotten it here, present in a meeting for discussion, and I think it might have even helped you a little bit in your presentation to the GA.
I absolutely agree, and I would have loved to. It was just a matter of time. It literally happened, like that.
Right. But that's something you were working on for quite a bit of time.
Right, but the decision to do that was made at, I guess, the last minute.
And then we'll close stack on this.
No, put me on.
Patrick, and then we're done.
I'm wondering if we might not want to move the group meeting so it's not on top of subgroup meetings. Like I feel like having subgroups meet when the main group meets means that we're never going to see the subgroup people.
I agree,
right?
100%.
So we should move our meeting to accommodate you all being able to attend. Otherwise, it's sort of pointless. We'll never see each other. We'll never be able to talk.
That was just a total, fuck up on my part.
But it's not.
It wasn't It wasn't this. It wasn't the main pair meeting's fault. We shouldn't have scheduled it in. But it was just a matter of time. Again, bad timing and me
Is it just
being
one
an idiot.
meeting, or is that the regular time?
No, it's different every week. Whenever people in the group can meet, that's when we meet. And that week, that was the only day people could meet, and I just had a brain fart.
There's not much to be done.
Hindsight's always 20/20. Let's proceed. I'm sorry, sir.
Yeah, sure. But the issue that Patrick raised is more serious than that. I'm not condemning anybody. People are doing good work in whatever time they have. And that's how I view it in one way. But then look the other way. Practically, organizationally speaking, I was in a meeting over here on, Friday. Almost everybody, there were 15, 20 people there, really working on this. Hardly anybody of them, with the exception of you two, is here, and very few of them were at our last meeting, which means that practically speaking, we are functioning as two separate work groups. And let's deal with it. I'm going to stop here. Nothing wrong with the way we function, but okay.
Thank you.
That's 5:48.
Let's proceed. Nothing else, right? You got anything?
Do we want to talk about that?
You know what? Give it a minute or two. Yes, I'm open to that. Is everybody okay with just addressing what this
It
gentleman
seems
just
like
said?
an issue.
It definitely is. May I speak?
Stack?
Yeah, I'm on.
How much time do you want?
2 minutes. Just
2 minutes each?
No. Just 2 minutes total. And that goes back to what the point I think Patrick raised is having subgroups meet at times that are in conflict with having the main group. And also, if it's going to be a subgroup of politics and electoral reform, there has to be some kind of accountability and credibility and transparency for us to be able to consent upon a document or give our approval. And it has to be. There's no other way. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Wait, I'm putting you guys on stack, but I'm next.
Screw you guys.
And Steven's next too, and Stefan. All right, you go next. I'll go next. No, because I can't even. I can't even remember what I was going to say. I think I was going to say something like, I think maybe, and we exchanged emails, and I think I said in the email, what are the rules? Do we have established rules for subgroups? Because I know that the Article 5 convention people, most of them don't even live in New York. I mean, does that make their entire subgroup invalid? I don't know the answer to that. I'm sure they would argue, and they do. But they, I know that they have their meetings and they have the little Skype. Is that enough? If their face is being seen? And I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if we've come to consensus as a group on what constitutes a valid subgroup and what the rules are for that. Because, I don't, also on a practical matter, I don't know, I've always posted the events, at least on the page when we're having, our things. I've yet to see many of you guys at our subgroup meeting. So, the shoe could be on the other foot.
Let's just go screw. Let's proceed. Who's
Okay.
next on the stack?
That's 2 minutes.
Okay, let's finish stack and then we'll go. I'm on.
Yeah, you're on after them. Wait, I need to add that.
Stefan?
So maybe a report back from all subgroups on a weekly basis, at least once a week. Not just verbal, but also on paper, report back so we can submit it as a document. Let's try that. Let's make that. I mean, we could. So I propose that. It is an emergency proposal. Just bring a proposal every week, a report back. I mean, every week in writing as a subgroup. I mean, that's it.
What?
I mean, can we do that? Can we try that at least?
Before
we develop other rules and what validates a subgroup and make things complicated. Let's try simple stuff.
All right.
It's a genuine point of information.
Sure, go for it.
Within the traditional horizontal process from Europe, every working group is supposed to report back to the GA on its progress. Now, we have an aberration of that with the Spokes Council, just as a point of information.
Excellent point.
Wait, I don't know what does that mean though?
We're supposed to be accountable.
No, it doesn't mean we're supposed to. I'm just making the point of information that within the horizontal process from the squares in Europe, the process includes report backs each week in the General Assembly from the working groups. And that there are two types of working groups. There's thematic working groups and like operational working groups. Thematic deal with the ideas, like Glass-Steagall, and working would be like laundry, healthcare, those kinds of, health and hospitality and those kinds of things.
Stock.
Luckily, this is not Europe.
Dustin, I believe, is up.
Patrick's next, and then Dustin.
I don't know if we need emergency proposals, although I'm not opposed to what Stefano suggests. Stefano, sorry.
We just got to come up with a name.
It's not an American name. I struggle. I'm sorry. Stefano has a great idea, and I think we could maybe work it into a somewhat larger proposal and bring it back. But I guess my concern in general, and perhaps it's just something I'm going to have to learn to live with, is that this all feels really, really disorganized to me. and not that I'm afraid of disorganization, and I definitely don't want to impede anyone's autonomy. That is not anything I ever want to be interested in being involved in. But if we want to achieve something together, especially if it's a constitutional amendment we want to try and figure out and have the country catch fire about it, I feel like all of these different pieces that we're doing, sort of the more direct action of your group and the constitutional viral campaign that's going on over there, and maybe there is a place to discuss an amendment, maybe not. I'm really feeling very confused about that. I'm thinking there isn't, which makes me a little sad. When you do that, it makes me lose track, and then it takes longer for me to finish up, and I'm not really over time, so just chill. Having a stressful moment and trying to communicate. Okay. So, thank you. I definitely feel like we need better technological communication for starters, just to be able to help each other. Whether we ever get to having a conversation about what can we achieve together, if we put these pieces into a whole, I hope that we get that far, but we'll never get that far if we don't, I feel like, have a listserv. We don't have to use it daily, but we should definitely use it in emergency situations.
Wait, what's a listserv?
It's like a Google group or
Yahoo group.
a lot of the subgroups have them, but we don't have a Google group for the main group. So if
we have the forum on NYCGA.
It's
Okay,
tough.
let's stop having a discussion. Finish your
I'm just
thought,
saying,
please.
for emergency things, like that stuff got posted in the forum. And I was away that week, or I didn't see it. Like, for emergency things, I think we need that. I also would say that we need to better integrate subgroups into the main website. Like those events need to be posted. Your minutes need to be posted. That's our fault, obviously. We got to do a better job about that. Or some of the subgroups may make more sense as separate groups, and then they should have their own nycga.net stuff, and we can follow it better that way. With like not knowing one way or the other is really a pain. I would like to attend some of these meetings. I have obviously a different idea about how to approach the corporate personhood issue. I feel like it cuts both ways. If we treat them as persons, they can go to jail for doing wrong things. Really, the issue is about money. And we don't want them to just be able to spend however much money. It's not about personhood. It's sort of like they use this to be able to use money as much as they want. So there's a big conversation to be had. I feel stressed and confused that we're not having it. I'm done. Sorry.
Dustin?
I'll get off. I'll just hop on with what Stefan said. I think we need to have the subgroups at least, once a week get solid report backs.
And I think, I'll somehow make an initiative to report our progress to the GA somehow, some way, because I think there has to be accountability, not only within our groups, but us as a whole. And I think it'll help to build more of what we are trying to do.
I want to say that I certainly have compassion for you. I mean, I started an organization called US Day of Rage that had this specific. We switched over to Article 5 after the 17th, but we specifically had a constitutional amendment as our only demand in the free organization of September 17th. And certainly being an idea in relation to the GA is, it's not always fun. But I encourage you to keep your spirits up, that this is a process. It's an education for many citizens who are not engaged or they're not experts on constitutional law. And there's also philosophical issues within the General Assembly as to what it is. So I would say that, keep heart, keep working on what you're doing, and remember also that as normal citizens with jobs and responsibilities, that there is also the natural difficulty of communicating or just the time issue. So maybe lumping in groups together, like joining, maybe changing the Article 5 to just constitutional, because it's got a crazy name too. I mean, I'll talk this about this viral campaign. I mean, it's the most obscure kind of title. Maybe calling it something more thematic, wrapping your conversation and your work into it will create the kind of energy that you need. You know.
Next, Ed.
Very briefly, there's something that I can add, is that I've been doing independent political organizing going on 14 years. This may sound like a reverse process, but the simple act of organizing is disorganizing. Keep doing what you're doing. Then that's the only thing that I want to say. Do not, you're going to run into it all the time. Believe me, just take it from an old bag who's been doing it for quite a while. And that goes for anyone who has any type of an idea or suggestion to put forward.
Do you want to be on staff?
What I understand?
Do you want? I didn't know you wanted to be, but okay.
All right, that's the end of.
Go on.
Okay. The issue of form. People like Patrick and I, who are reasonably experienced in doing this kind of thing, find the communication situation problematic. We do not have to be educated about the various communication options. Therefore, it is not just people who are newbies that have to be educated. It is the fact that we find it frustrating, especially jumping from one group to another and coordinating. There is an issue of that, and we do need a listserv. If you want to know what a listserv, I'll describe it if you give me 2-3 minutes. But the forum that we have over there is unfriendly to me. I am not going to sit there and click to everybody with every opinion from the world. No, it's good. It should exist for that purpose. But I am not going to do it quickly. One more thing. Alexa mentioned how European, and I assume anarchists without using that word, group function. That may be the model. They probably work for smaller groups and groups that are less ideologically diverse than we are. We are very, very diverse. Therefore, we should take that, and also the number of work groups. In a group like that, you have politics, society, and spiritualism, and 3 work groups, and they are fine. Okay, and 7 people belong to each of them, and some people overlap. Over here, it became unmanageable. And Patrick, I think that the structure work group should address this issue. Okay. The fact that we have a problem of work groups all over the place that are not coordinated and don't communicate too well.
Okay. Maybe tomorrow.
Maybe tomorrow.
That's it.
Right
Nobody
now
else.
he's not sleeping.
Patrick, you want to talk about quorum or
If you want, sure. Yeah.
I'll find it.
How much time?
3 minutes, please?
3? You got
Yes.
it. I suggest we have a quorum for the meetings.
I approve.
I think the last, while the last proposal in a page and a half or 2 pages was excellent, I think it was just a little too complicated.
So then it wasn't excellent.
I think it was excellent. I think it was just too. I think it was just too much.
Can I have a clarifying question?
Sure.
What happened with that proposal?
It never. It just sort of died on the vine, and we never got to doing it. We had sort of, at least part of the time. For those who don't know, the idea was to have a moving average of the last 6 meetings, I believe it was, and to require 90% of that number for a quorum. That's just been really, really complicated, I think, because it requires a lot of record keeping. There were a lot of questions about, well, we have different numbers at the start of the meeting as opposed to the middle of the meeting as opposed to the end of the meeting. So when do we take the quorum average? It's unnecessarily complex.
Don't get involved with proxies,
This
please.
is the point.
All those
I see a lot
questions were
of.
addressed,
I see a lot of signals. Okay,
Cool.
what's the?
Well, we had kind of agreed that we were going to take about 4 or 5 counts throughout the meeting and use that average
Right.
as the count for the meeting. And I thought that would be the surest way because people show up late, people leave early, and I think that would be the best way to address it.
It's cool if you think that. I'm not arguing the point. I guess what I'm trying to say is the fact that it never happened officially is evidence to me of unnecessary complexity. And it's just like even understood, like it's very, very excellent and very, very detailed, but it's too complicated for us to actually just implement. I feel like just picking a number, having it below the 90, or like wherever. I mean, how many people do we have here now? Like 9, I think. And if we said 9 people constitutes the quorum, then we should just go with that, you know. And if it changes, if we have a lot of meetings or 3 meetings in a row with 8, I don't know if folks have been able to read this. It was posted online. I don't have copies, and I'm sorry. If we had 3 consecutive meetings where there was not a quorum present to start and continue the meeting, then whoever showed up, as long as it was 5 people, could amend the quorum number downwards so that we could meet and have meetings. But the point is, we have a certain critical mass in most of our meetings. They tend to run 10, 15 people. So why not just say 10 is our minimum number for doing business? And after 3 meetings where we didn't have 10, then we could say, all right, it's 9 or it's 8 or it's whatever. But at least then we have an understanding. We're not going to proceed with meetings that have only 3 people present or 4 people present, which was the point of the original proposal, with which I fully agree. I just feel like the 6 meeting moving average and 90% of that requires a lot of unnecessary busy work. You could just say, this is our quorum number, let's stick with that until it's obvious we need to change it, and then we'll change it.
Okay, Stack, you?
Right.
2
things.
Sure.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. Are you going to bring that up for Patrick? Are you going to bring that up for proposal, or is that a proposal? Are you proposing right now? So we're going to vote on it.
Well, first of all,
I'll look it up online and I'll read to you exactly
just so,
what it was.
just so you know, what I've been doing, every meeting I take account, regardless. And I
But it's
think
not what he just wants to.
It's called the new common sense.
So, could everyone understand
It's very
Patrick's
important,
proposal?
You can tell the kind of like deep interest they have.
First of all, who wants to be counted for today's meeting?
Count election.
You want to be counted, sir? We got 9. We do need a rolling average because for the past 3 weeks prior
Hold on,
to.
sorry, process. So, that was a proposal, right? So,
Right, so I'm
are we
voicing.
going to discuss this proposal? Or?
Yeah, that's what
Okay.
we're doing. The stack
Okay,
is open.
understand.
We had a rolling average. For a few weeks, we were averaging 15. The last 3 or 4 meetings, we've had 8. So we have to use an average. We can't say 10 because if we only have 8 people, does that mean the meeting's illegitimate? Or if we have 20, does that mean that that's over? Or we have to have that average.
There's no over.
Well,
It's just a minimum number. That's what a quorum means.
But then again, if we have 8 people that are showing up to the meeting for the next 2 months, and we don't have those 10 people or that minimum, what do we do? So we need to use that average.
I got you. Who's next? And then you.
So we had a lengthy discussions about averaging. We had several. We brought a proposal that, for an idea of averaging for quorum. Then there was a lot of issues, and that's why the document became so long. So maybe we should try something else other than an average, maybe a fixed number.
Why don't you repropose what you have?
Again, that's involved with an average. It's getting complicated.
Who's on stock?
Yitzchak? Then
Okay,
Alexa.
averages. Averages are mathematical abstraction. We function as a group, and I've been in groups where people haven't shown up, and we have a sense when we really did not have enough people to conduct a business. And if you have, let's assume that we have 30 meetings, 7 in 10, 8 in 10, and 9 in 10. And those were the only number. And then we say that the ones who, and the average is 8, and the median is 8. And we say those with 7 don't qualify. nonsense. It's 7 or 8 or 9. We are a working group, more or less. And we know that the bottom of workable meeting, the minimum of a workable meeting should be the thing. And it should not be done mechanistically. So we currently have here about 8 people. It's a working meeting. 2 or 3 fewer, we're going to get into trouble. That's my sense.
Alexa?
I'm not sure I understand what I understand, like, we don't want stuff passed in the middle of the night like the NDAA or stuff like that, but or without any kind of press coverage. But wherever 2 are, Jesus is.
Wherever what?
I'm just a joke. It's a joke. I think
So that's 3.
I feel like people who show up to a meeting, if there's some kind of process about proposals and how they're presented, that consensus should stand. Because otherwise, people are going to go to meetings, and let's say only 5 people show up. Their work cannot be discussed because as a liability, we have to carry the liability of the people not showing up to group meetings. It's not fair.
I know. That's why I think a rolling average is necessary.
Dustin's next, then you.
Well, I like both sides of it. I like the rolling average that we had, but I also like the idea of a fixed number because, and then I also like the idea of no number at all because, like you said, if as long as they stick to the process. Oh, I know, right? I kind of like it all.
It's very philosophical.
But like you said, if you have 3 people and as long as you follow process and it's during the times it's supposed to be and they put up their why wouldn't that proposals pass or whatever because you would say that the GA doesn't have a minimum number of people that need to be there, so I don't think we should. I think as long as we're here for our meetings, process is followed, then I think we're those meetings should count.
We have 10 people here. Do we want to see
Do we?
if we can reach consensus on this? How does anybody feel about putting this to a vote?
What are you consulting on? But
Putting it to a vote?
Well, maybe we have more people who want to speak on stack.
Yeah.
We still have more people on stack. It's kind of...
Quickly. I did not say
I'm sorry.
a no number. I say the minimum of the main cluster. If you do a curve, you find these are meetings that were a lot of people. This meeting where hardly showed up, and here are meetings were more or less plus or minus 1 or 2. That's here, and the list of those meetings should be it. How do we identify? You show me a curve, and I'll tell you where it is. One more thing. Let's assume we have 5 people. We cannot vote on a thing, but we can have a very good discussion and advance some issues with no quorum. And I've been at meetings there was no quorum, and we discussed good things. And also, after 45 minutes, everybody showed up, and we had a quorum, and we went into an official meeting.
Thursday's meeting is a prime example of that. I think we had 7 people, and I think we had a great discussion, came up with some good ideas, which is carrying forward today. So, sorry, I'm not
Okay. Thursday's meeting would still have happened had we had a quorum rule. It's just that only 7 people or whatever wouldn't be enough to make decisions for the larger group. If there are however many, 500 people in the group according to the website, if there are 15 people attending regularly, then 6 or 7 people is not a large enough critical mass to make decisions. That's the idea behind it. The moving average thing says that, I think I understand it. It's like if our attendance is shrinking, then we can still have quorum meetings because the number shrinks. But that's really not the point. The point is, at some point, there's not enough people present to have a business meeting. There aren't enough voices represented at the table. There's not enough communication of information, obviously, that people would make the point of attending so that we could talk about these issues. And I feel like it's in our interest not to encourage business to be conducted with fewer and fewer people present. What I'm looking to encourage is for more people to attend, bring more minds together, hear each other, hear the proposals, talk them out, and be able to sort of really workshop whatever we're working on and be able to support each other. So you can't do that if there's only 5 people showing up. And to say that that's a business meeting, I feel like is unfair to everybody. So I'm
I
strongly
totally
in favor of a quorum. I don't really care how we do it, but I think having a crazy moving average is just unnecessarily complex.
That's it. Anyone else want to be on staff?
No, let's move on. Do we want to vote on this? Do we want to?
We don't vote.
Should we have a quorum? Should we not?
Should we have
can
a
set.
quorum? Should we not have a quorum? Do we want to table it? Do we want to continue discussing?
Well, you brought up as a proposal, so we have to consent on it. Or
Can we take a temperature check or something? How do you call it?
Yes, let's do a temperature check on.
What's the actual proposal again?
Right. Do I have a quorum?
But which way?
But it's not a proposal. It's kind of a
No.
report back. I mean, and do you want to put this to a vote, Patrick?
I want to do what the group wants to do. I'm not like.
Okay,
I'm-
let's have a
I'm
show
trying to
of
be part
hands
of it.
to who wants to move to a vote on this. But do we have something concrete that we're voting on?
Yeah, I can read you what I posted on the website. We can change the numbers if folks aren't comfortable with the numbers. I don't really care what the specific number is, just as long as there is one and we all know it, and we start to make sure
Can
that
you
we
read?
have enough people present. Addition of a simple quorum rule for official group meetings. 10 people minimum required to start and continue an official voting meeting. Quorum number is amendable downwards by 5 or more members present after 3 consecutive unofficial meetings, which if the number were 10, that would be 9 attendees or fewer. So if we have meetings where we don't make that number 3 times in a row, the people who do show up could say, all right, the number is lower.
Can we ask Stefan what he thinks about this? Because I feel like
That was his
I
proposal.
already stated mine.
Is that it? You like
I
that?
already spoke. I already spoke of it.
I know, but I'm not sure how
I'm
you
on
feel.
stack. Me on stack.
Doesn't matter how I feel.
I want to know.
I'm a little hungry. I need to go use the bathroom.
All right, then I can't vote because I don't feel like I'm knowledgeable about it.
So,
We have-
we open up stack again?
Yeah.
About what? About the same
Is
thing?
anybody opposed to continue to discuss this? Another 5 minutes?
I'm opposed.
You're opposed?
I think we should vote on it. You vote
You
on
think we
it.
should vote on
We
it?
consent on it and block it.
I say we either vote or.
We should move forward.
proposal that you just read.
I gotta shut this door.
Yeah, thanks.
I think the guy opened it.
Yeah, they like to do that. I feel like it's me. The last time I was here, you insisted I open the doors.
No. It smells in here.
Smells of democracy.
Smells of democracy.
Smell like democracy.
Why are they keeping it open?
We can't have that.
Smells
Yes, to
Yes.
freeze us out.
the stench of
It's a
democracy.
low-level passive aggressive.
Can you take his name and we can confirm?
I'm good.
We have ready
Okay.
Probably get a promotion.
Yeah, we should though, because we don't know.
Okay. So does anyone want to amend? Maybe.
Yeah, I don't, I'm totally against what's an unofficial meeting and what's an official meeting. I think if 2 people show up, that's an official meeting. Our times are posted every week. Everybody knows when our meetings are here. If there's a snowstorm and 2 people get here, that's a meeting. If 10 people get here, that's a meeting. And that's how it needs to be. Those 2 people show up to a meeting, then that average comes down. There's no way you can discredit. It's the same thing with the GA. The GA had maybe 25, 30 people last night, whatever. Proposals were presented to be consented upon. That's a legitimate GA. It's posted. Everybody knows where it is. There's no ambiguity. It's the same thing with our meeting. There's nothing. Every week, twice a week, I post agenda items. People are. It's nothing hidden. The meeting is very well publicized. There's an agenda. There are minutes. There is everything that needs to be done. I don't know how a meeting could be unofficial. I don't agree with that wording. No way.
I'd like to. I don't think we're talking about official meetings per se. I think just in terms of passing proposals.
That I agree on, but
So we can
So
change
it's
the
still,
language.
it's like, two
But-
people still a meeting, but.
But
they
yes,
can't
but
pass
those 2 people at that meeting, or 20 people, or 200 people, should affect the average. And however so. You cannot. You cannot. If
I understand you care about it. I just don't. I don't see like. I mean, are we opening Stack? I mean,
Stack is open.
I feel like we're being lectured.
And also, you don't
I
have
hear
to
your point of
address
view.
everything somebody says. I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay.
Anybody have any opinions?
I just didn't know if we were opening
Stack is open.
I'm sorry.
Stack is open for discussion.
I didn't know that's what we were doing.
Well, we're trying to put it to consensus, and right now, Stack is open for concerns, and that's my concern.
Concerns.
Anyone else?
Do you want me to answer the concerns?
Go for it.
Okay. We can use whatever language you like.
That Scumberg feels that it will be open, and that's it.
So if you have a problem with the way it's stated, let's state it differently. This has come up
That's
before. I
Scumberg.
think people in general understand that a quorum is not a bad idea.
I have a friendly amendment.
Let's,
He would not give me
Stack is open for friendly amendment.
Hold on. So we're still. Are there any other concerns? I'm
Are
sorry.
there any other concerns?
And I know whom to contact.
Are there any other concerns with the proposal?
So we'll
My
move to
friendly amendment is use a rolling average. If it's 5 meetings, 6 meetings, 10 meetings, whatever, but use an average. And again, part of the amendment is we, do counts throughout the meeting. Karen showed up an hour late. Is she excluded? Is she included in the meeting? Somebody showed up earlier and left. If we do 5 counts, 4 counts, 6 counts, whatever, throughout the course of a meeting, we'll have an average of how many people were at that meeting and use that. And during the Christmas and New Year break, we had 8 people average. Prior to that, we were averaging about 15, 16. If you go by that, it averages out to about 10, 12, which is actually what an average meeting looks like. We have 11 today. So that would definitely give us, I don't think whether we had 8 or 16, it's going to affect it really, but it will give us a very good idea of what is necessary. And that would tie into what you were saying, that if we have 2 people, it obviously doesn't make for, you cannot reach consensus. And I think it supports what you're saying 100%, Patrick.
You know what? I tossed it out to the group because this was in an earlier proposal. I wasn't opposed to it. It just, the group found that it was unnecessarily complicated and didn't manage to ever agree to it. I wasn't against it. The group seemed to not really like that. So I turned it open to the group. Is that what you want to do? Because if it is, let's do that.
The Stack was open and this got was on
Go
Stack.
for it.
Yeah, and go
I
again.
feel like if the facilitator would indulge me, let's temperature check that
Fine.
with the group.
I'm willing to
Is-
not go.
Do we want to have
Do we have consensus on this?
Do we prefer to have, the question is, would we rather have some sort of rolling average
I
and
don't
a
know
lot
what
of
the-
counting in order to calculate the quorum number? We agree that there needs to be one, or do we just want to say the number is this? If we don't have that many people present, we can still meet, obviously, but we can't pass proposals. We have to have a certain number of people present, a certain critical mass before we pass proposals. So there are 2 options. You guys can decide which it is. How do you want to handle it? I'm going to say, twinkles
Well,
up means...
that was my amendment to
twinkles up
yours.
means
Do you
let's
accept
get
the
a-
amendment?
No, I'm asking the group to decide. Because it's the group that has to make the
Temperature
decision.
checking.
I don't care one way or another as long as we have a quorum that works. And I
How
would
many
prefer
people
if
are
it's not-
in favor of the amendment as having a set average, like Patrick is suggesting? Or
a set number?
A set number.
I'd say just temperature check your suggestion.
How many people are open to what I'm suggesting?
Rolling average.
A rolling average. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6.
Is that a tie?
How many people are opposed? 1. You're opposed? You just voted yes.
No,
he
what if
doesn't
I did?
say.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. How many people are in favor? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What do you guys want to do?
I can live with.
Are there
either
any
thing.
blocks? Was anybody willing to block?
I don't think anybody wants to do the counting. Do you?
I'll do
I
the
mean, when I was
counting.
doing
It's not
Stack,
worth
I would take
my
I
time.
just feel like it's lame, and it's preventing us from actually having the number.
Again, Patrick, okay.
But I'm sorry, I'm really talking out of turn. So if there's not a clear answer from the group, I don't know what to do.
Are there any blocks to it? And the people, okay, if you're opposed to it,
I would say I'm opposed because, but I shouldn't, because I'm bringing the proposal. But I really just don't like it because the complexity of it has made it such that we don't have this. This came up, I would say, at 5 different meetings that I personally attended and went nowhere because of the complexity of the issue. And really all we need is just a number that says, after we have this number, it's business. Beforehand, it's discussion. I don't think it needs to be complexly calculated. That shouldn't be what the political and electoral reform group spends its time doing.
okay, Ed,
A point of information. Has there been a consensus as to what a valid number should be? 5, 6, 7?
no, there has not been.
There has not. There never.
We've never checked that.
Never have checked it. Okay. Another point of information. Has it been?
Question.
Question. Okay. Has there been in other groups? Do we know of something similar where there should be an X amount to?
Sure.
Has there been?
Yeah.
There have. Sure. Can I ask what that number is?
In vision and goals, for instance, it's 6.
6 people.
6 people.
Do you have a number that you are thinking of throwing out that would satisfy?
I just picked. I mean, if the average, and you guys who are numbers junkies can tell me what the average has been over the course of the last 6 meetings. If it was running around 15, I thought let's fix it at 10, and that's a pretty good number to work with. Chances are you're not going to end up below that quorum number unless we're really losing attendance.
Just to let you know what that number is, just based on the 6 meetings, it's about 11.5 or 12 people.
So 10 would be under that and would maybe be comfortable for people. That's why I picked 10. But I'm not committed. I want to be very clear. I don't care about 10 versus 9 versus 6. I really don't care. I care that there is a number and we all understand what it is. So
I don't know, maybe it is a concern that it all sounds great until we're at that meeting and there's one less than that number and someone has a proposal that they really want to get passed and we can't do it because there's 8 instead of 9.
That's why we can't have a fixed number.
I would have a problem with that.
But even an average would yield.
But at the
it's
same
an average,
time,
it sounds like
okay,
you're
okay.
arguing against
Arbitrary.
having a quorum, which I feel
No,
that's a pun you really
I'm all
should do.
for it.
I don't
but,
think you are.
But let me just put it this way. If you say 10, right? And for 3 meetings in a row, we have 9 or 8. We can never put that to a proposal because we don't have that 10. If we
You
use,
can't have proposals during those 3 meetings.
how can you do that if we need 10?
I'm saying if you have 9 and you need 10, you can't have proposals during that meeting.
You can't.
You cannot. You can have wonderful discussions.
But that's exactly my point, Patrick. So if 3 meetings in a row, we have something urgent or whatever.
You know what? I mean, part of this is about making sure that we communicate with each other, and
That's why-
that we make sure that we bring critical mass to these meetings. I'm not trying to prevent us from doing business. I'm trying to focus us on the fact that we need to be here, and it can't be 6 people making a decision if the average number of attendees at a meeting is 15. It's unfair.
I
Okay?
agree with
It's
you.
unfair to the 9 people
we have
who weren't at
stack
that
open?
meeting.
Stack is open.
Okay, so I forget,
he's-
is Colin?
Justin-
We don't want to do
Dustin.
it. We don't want to do
Dustin.
it. I understand, but I just I'm not loving the fact that we can have proposals passed by any number of people at all.
I agree.
Right? And this
100%.
rolling average thing is way too complicated and a pain in the ass. to
How is
actually
it complicated?
function.
If we're
It's just my
taking,
opinion. It was never
go ahead.
consistent. It came up 5
This
times.
gentleman is next.
Oh, I thought he was there. Did you go
No,
yet?
his hand is up.
You were up there? Okay.
At this point, I'm getting to be biased against an official call. I'll tell you what happened at the men's group. We come, we sit, hardly anybody showed up, we talk, people wander in, and suddenly we have 20 people there. So at the very beginning, we say no, until we see what we feel to be. We feel what seems to us. Enough people, we are going to talk, but we are not going to make decisions. If there are 2 or 3, it's completely unanimous. If there are 4, 5, 6, we talk. Then, and it should be based upon the feeling. If you have a consensus meeting, it's a problem. But we operate by consensus anyway. So if you operate by consensus anyway, a majority cannot steamroll over a minority.
Well, I was going to say, maybe our minimum's too high. like you said, structure has 6 people. That's like a bare minimum. So maybe 8 or 9 is too high. Maybe we go down to 6, make it smaller. So that way, if we do have smaller meetings, we don't really. Because I've never been to a meeting where we have less than 6 or 7.
All right, I'm putting myself on. I mean, I know you keep saying that it's so complicated, but if other people are willing to take the numbers and do the work, I don't see why you would have a problem with that. Oh, okay. Because I would feel better about a number that wasn't picked arbitrarily, no matter how high or low it is. It's still arbitrary.
Exactly.
I think I made that clear before.
Yeah.
I don't
So
care.
we all agree
And
that
just so
we
you
want to
know,
quorum.
since we started meeting in October, I've only missed 2 meetings. So, I mean, I'm always here. I'm willing to do the counts. I'm willing to do the math. It's not going to take me a whole lot of long to do, and I'm willing to do it. But how? What do you suggest? How do you want to proceed?
I don't object to doing it if people really think it'll work.
Could we
then
give it a
fine.
try for a month?
I'm just pointing out to the group that this exact same question has come before this group on no fewer than 5 previous occasions and failed to reach consensus.
Let's try it for a month with my way, and then we'll go.
Yeah, it's whatever you want.
Sometimes it takes a lot of time before you get consensus.
Sometimes it does.
Sometimes
It's like the Weimar Republic.
Oh, man.
and I'm Pol Pot.
So, folks want me
I'm
to
out of
read-
place because I'm Pol Pot, right? I mean, just take this meeting for instance, Patrick. We started out with 7 people.
I don't want to.
And now we have 11.
I don't want to argue it because
Do we have a vote? Do we have a consensus
How about,
on?
how about I
On
read
what?
to you and you insert your language, what the new proposal is. So the addition of a simple quorum rule for voting meetings.
Will include a rolling average of past 5 or 6 meetings, whichever.
You tell me.
5 meetings.
All right. Rolling average of the past 5 meetings. And how do we take the counts?
We're going to do 4 or 5 counts throughout the course of the meeting. I've already done 3.
It's 4 or 5 counts during the course of the meeting.
Anybody want to be counted for the meeting? I'm doing
Average
another
that
one.
number, and then average it over the previous 5 meetings.
Right.
And then we will accept no less than 90% of that number,
90. Okay, cool.
right?
90%,
Yeah,
Okay.
good.
As a quorum requirement.
Beautiful.
So proposals can't be discussed until there is 90% of that.
I'm totally in agreement with that because that gives a little bit
Calculated
less of that.
Whatever you're comfortable with, Dan.
No, if I may, I think that's an excellent.
I'm totally for that. Anybody not in a? Come on.
You're like,
No,
come
I
on,
stand
we're
as-
trying to get
oh,
that
you
number.
want me? I was going to stand aside.
All right. Stand aside. Any blocks? Any blocks?
No.
Don't you dare.
You need me. I vote
You
for it.
just missed the greatest photograph. That was the photograph. That was the magic hour right there.
So we have consensus.
Thanks for everybody who helped
That'll
make it
end up
happen.
on the front
What
page of
can I stand
the
aside?
OSWS
You've got a
website.
perfect situation to
I'm
stand
comfortable.
aside.
Live streaming. You want to talk quickly about?
We'll talk about it next week. It's not time.
No, we got time.
Okay. Basically, I just wanted to present a discussion about to the group. Outreach is important. I think we should start to use digital in a way that builds a conversation casually with the larger public. We discussed at a previous meeting live streaming one meeting. There was some concern about just live streaming anything. Felt that it should be a larger meeting where there's more thought brought into what's presented before the group. And so I wanted to just put that on the table and see what the group thought about that idea. I mean, there are pros and cons to it. I'm sorry.
Are we opening stack?
Yeah.
Stack.
Okay.
Briefly.
May I have more technical explanation of how this works? Namely, what does it take to get it done?
Okay, we have this proposal for the Twitter account, which we haven't got to, which is
We're gonna get
is
to that
more
in a few
important
minutes.
Actually, than the live stream issue. But were the group to agree on an official Twitter account that currently is not allowed, I mean, according to this proposal, would not allow any ideological tweets. It would be operational tweets, times of meetings, minutes, agendas, URLs to proposals, things of that nature. Were we to just simply, it's a free account, you set up Ustream, Livestream, whatever. Somebody would have a computer or a camera. They would record the meeting, probably from a bird's eye view. If I was to write a proposal, it would be a standard wide shot or something, or in the middle, or
Record a meeting with a computer,
yeah.
which means you have to hold the computer.
No, I mean, it can be done very easily. It'd be free. It'd be no cost to the group. and it could go out on our Twitter profile, or if we chose at a later time, a Facebook profile, and people could choose to watch it or not. Simple.
You want to make it a proposal?
I want to see what the group's concerns are before I draft a proposal. I want to know, if there's any concerns
Stack
about
is
that
open.
kind of issue. FBI, there's lots of stuff people.
Anybody on Stack?
Yeah.
Will the FBI agent please raise his hand?
We already have a stack, right?
Oh, come on.
We already
Now
took
I know.
Anybody else on stack?
Anybody else? Ed?
Yes.
Ed, okay. Karen?
Yeah, I was just going to say I do not see the value in streaming a business meeting. If we wanted to maybe have some people giving a report of what we're working on, inviting people to give us feedback, or something like that, I think that would be valuable. But I don't think it's going to help us bring people in for them to sit here.
Why not? Like, can you
to
tell
have
me?
us listen for 45 minutes and talk about a quorum? I just don't see that as being something that's going to be
She already
welcome.
said it. She agreed with you.
So I just think that it would need to be something, it wouldn't have to be super rehearsed, but something with a little more content.
Okay.
That's just my
Clarify question. Are you opposed to it, or you just think it should be more structured?
I support the idea of live streaming, but I'm opposed to the idea of live streaming a business meeting. I think it would be some other content from this committee or group that would be required.
Can I have a clarifying question? Do you put that in between? Are we saying just once? Is it a one-time thing or
No,
every
once
meeting?
a month.
It would be once, like hypothetically, once a month. It wouldn't be at every meeting. It would be, let's say, like if we did have a larger meeting where there was important proposals being put onto the table and discussion around those kinds of issues.
Ed?
Oh,
Sorry,
yes.
Oh, you're backing? Then you.
Student activist who got home.
That was the best picture. I wanted that. I would put that on my.
Sam.
I'm sorry. I'm not sitting next to him again. I think it is very important that we do live stream it, in that it gives us transparency. And there's a lot of people out there that can't make our meetings, and I think it's a great way to get what we're discussing and invite others to share.
It's strategic, really, too. It's to build the audience so that
Yes.
as we develop robustness to our strategies, to our ideas, the consensus ideas, that we've already created that
There's a stack.
conversation. We're not just coming out of nowhere.
I wasn't done.
Are you not done?
It's done.
Put me on.
Okay, no, my practically
Right.
speaking,
No, are you?
we should do it once,
Tell me.
hoping that we can do it again and see how it works out and see what we learn from it. And for that, in addition to simply us doing it, we gotta get 10, 20, 30 people who commit themselves to watch it and give us feedback about how it works.
I understand. I appreciate your comments. I think it kind of is antithetical to the way the internet works. I mean, you'd be surprised how many people are interested in the nuts and bolts and the kind of verisimilitude of these kinds of experiences. Do you know what I mean? So I think that I speak from my own where I'm at. I mean, I live in the digital world. And,
How would people know that we are doing this?
well, first of all, no one's probably going to watch the first one, and that's to be expected. But it's,
Twitter and all the other
but
ways
it'll-
we're gonna.
we have the option to record or not record for later broadcast. Just incidentally, that's a service that Ustream has, which might be, the group might agree or disagree with that option. I don't want to talk about this anymore. I just wanted to put it out there to start to feel out the group on it. It's not critical right now.
Should we
Also-
continue our stack?
I'm on
Okay.
stock,
So I
right?
have a, I have
Yeah,
a
you're after. I know, but I'm.
question and a comment.
It's progressive stack. You went already.
And
Go
you're the
ahead.
facilitator, right?
I'm facilitating. Go.
So the question is, are we going to respond to, on the live stream, or did they usually a comment part? Oh, we got a timeout.
Two more minutes? Cool. Okay.
We're okay with two?
Yeah.
So on the live stream, we have a comment part. Are we going to respond to those comments, or are we going to let people, are we going to listen to those comments while we have conduct our business? That's
I
just
don't
the
know.
question. Okay.
It's a good question, though. It's certainly something that we might,
Consider later
and the
on.
comment. And I think it's important to just show through live stream, because through live stream people see that we march, we take down barricades forcefully. But it's more to show other people that we do other stuff other than march and
March
take
and
down
take
barricades.
Exactly.
That we have
There's
actually,
a
we
large
try
mental
to,
gap
right,
that people
so-
don't know what we're doing. They don't even know that we have working groups.
So I support live streaming for that reason.
I don't mind the idea of live streaming. I don't know your name. What?
Karen.
Karen. I agree with Karen that maybe an average business meeting like this one would not be particularly interesting to the live stream audience. But perhaps once a month we could hold a debate, sort of a meeting, about whatever the issue is we want to talk about. Maybe it's corporate personhood, or maybe it's money equals speech. And while it could be live streamed, I think it could also be just captured on video and made available. That could also be useful, which might be more cost effective. I don't know, but I'm not opposed to it. I like the idea generally.
Couple things that I thought were good is we can use the Twitter and the NYCGA to let people know and to build that, and also we could use the meetings preceding the live stream meeting to kind of hone what we want to present at that live stream. So when we do it, we have a focused topic, and we know what I don't want to say rehearsed, but because I don't want that. I don't want to seem like it's rehearsed, but I want, we can hash out all the what ifs. So when we get to that meeting that would be streamed, it would be very focused, and we would have a definite topic and a thought out topic. So
I'm all for exposure and also the transparency. But will there be an agenda, an item that's the reason why we're not just putting this out in the ether?
Yeah.
There will be da-da-da-da-da-da because da-da. Will there be something to say for a person to go ahead and look at this? Not just, they're going wherever and they say,
Right.
oh, what does this look like? And we're talking about, and then it just moves on. Are we looking to bring people in? Is this just going out there just for it's going out there? Is there a reason for doing it? I mean, what is the reason for doing it?
As a digital strategist and a person who, I write for WikiLeaks Central, I've intimately covered the revolutions through Bahrain, I helped organize the original occupation of Wall Street, in 5 protests, so I'm looking at it from that perspective. And that's why I respect more traditional grassroots political organization and concerns about presentation, and I think that those should definitely be folded into this process that I'm talking about with live stream.
Excuse me, I say that from experience as well.
I know, and I think that it's a question of audience. Like for an audience that is not on the internet or engaging around ideas or experience, which is what the game generation does, they might actually find that our presentations are completely ridiculous and go, oh, this is a joke. But for a lot of kids on the internet or game generation like 39 and under, which aren't kids, they wouldn't consider it a joke. And I would actually say that if I were king for a day, I would say no preparation, just be completely transparent, because that's what's really where we're at right now. With this horror. But I say that rhetorically. I'm not going to. I'm talking about it with you guys. That's my instinct. I think that we need to start to build that. People oftentimes approach viral campaigns. They're like, well, we need to start a viral campaign. And they're not realizing the internet is about authenticity to some degree. I mean, even though FBI agents disguise themselves as women, disguise themselves as dogs on the internet, that whole joke. Like, the bottom line is that it's about the conversation, and you have to actually genuinely have a conversation if you want people to care about what you have to say. You have to respect that process.
how do we feel about moving forward with this? Do we want to make it a proposal?
I would say temperature check.
We need more discussion.
I just say a little temperature check, see how people are feeling about live streaming.
About discussing it.
Do we want to continue to discuss? Because we have three
Discuss today or
proposals.
No, in the
I want to put this on the bench. This is just,
Okay.
yeah,
Fair.
it's not critical.
Let's move on.
No
You want to
temperature
just,
check?
yeah, well, I was just saying.
On the idea?
Yeah,
idea
the
of moving
idea, just
forward
to
and
see
continue
Yeah, I
what
want
we're
to.
doing.
what do we have?
Oh, that's
On the idea?
Cool.
I wouldn't block it. No.
Okay, beautiful.
oh, you were this?
Hair and makeup would be about half an
Oh,
hour
you're the, oh,
before.
yeah,
Twitter account?
Yeah, so I have a proposal which is on the website to set up a Twitter account called PERWG with the title Political and Electoral Working Group at Occupy Wall Street with a URL that links to our subsection within the NYCGA that specifies that it would tweet meeting times, agenda items, URLs to new proposals, any official related consented business, and no ideological tweets, no retweets of other people, except for maybe operational tweets related to NYCGA or some stuff. That it would be, the password would be amongst however many people the group decides needs the official Twitter password. It would be shared via Hootsuite. It can be shared up to 3 people for free, so that those 3 people can tweet. If we wanted to add more people from the group, it would be I think it's like $15 a person. We could also set it up with co-tweet. We could figure out a way to make it free to nothing, like $5. I've already parked this profile for the group so that it wouldn't get snatched up, and that's it. That's the proposal.
The stack is open.
Anyone?
Well, in terms of what was I going to say? Operational stuff, that would also be, minutes after the meeting,
Yes.
stuff like that.
One other thing, the email for the account should be the official email for this group and not a personal member's in case the person leaves and transferring it and all that stuff. So there's that.
Do we have a little temperature check? Oh, sorry.
I have a question. So in practice, if we were subscribed to this Twitter feed, we would receive updates about meeting times, a list of proposals that are coming for a meeting.
Like, for example, one person, according to this proposal, it said that the responsibilities would be shared. So let's say somebody posts a proposal on the website.
Okay.
The person in charge of posting proposals on the website onto Twitter you'd be contacted. They grab the URL and they tweet it out. And if you want, you could tie your text messaging to Twitter, that Twitter profile, so that you actually get a text that says somebody's posted a new proposal to Twitter, to the website.
I just think it's a great way, another form of getting us a little exposure. A lot of exposure. Twitter is a whole different type of people out there that are using it as opposed to anything else. Do we want to vote? Do we consent to let her just start it up? I mean, I don't see what anybody opposed to it. Any concerns?
I need to know what picture to put on the picture.
Put Sam's.
Like it could be a logo. It could be what should I put?
No. God damn, we have.
What's our
So you want the
NYC
photo?
net picture?
Okay, I'll use the NYC net picture, and I suggest also a hashtag PE. RWG.
Yeah, you could use the little map you're
That'll be
talking
our
about.
hashtag.
The map of the
PAER.
U.S. you're talking about?
Can we change it?
Yeah, it's the...
Politics and.
Yeah, you don't want the big
Yeah,
map.
you got it, right?
Oh,
You know how many
wait.
comments
You
I've
can do
gotten?
whatever you want.
Yes, I'm sure.
I thought that's what we were.
Yeah, it's PAE.
Okay.
Either sometimes
I just
capital A
threw
or
it
the-
out.
Okay. Good to know.
Alexa, you want the photo? You'll get.
But-
No, not of me. It could be
not
of the
of you.
group.
No, of general.
I think the one from...
It has to be of him.
So we have consensus.
Yeah, that would be great.
Any blocks? Any
Fine.
concerns?
Good. Oh, God.
I want that picture.
I'm sitting.
Can I please take a picture of you doing that?
No, I
see.
was just, no, this
That's all good. Temperature check on whatever.
That's not as fun.
I'm sitting like this.
So we have
comfortably.
consensus. My
That's the problem with it. It's not a normal situation. People can just sit and let the other people phone.
It's beautiful.
so we have consensus.
Yeah.
Good. My proposal is simply moving Thursday's meetings to 7:30
No.
as opposed to 8.
Next.
Next.
Do I have any concerns? Any blocks? Anybody? So we're okay with that?
Why?
It's fine.
So we can get out earlier.
So what time is it? 7:30 now?
Yeah.
I'll say something to
What day?
why it'd be a good idea, because I find that on Thursday meetings, we get cut off by them closing the...
Exactly.
closing
We're
hours. So having it just a half hour early might give us, and when we go over, just that little extra kind of buffer.
Thank you. Passed. Outreach to other cities. Karen, you want to?
Yeah. This is something that we had talked about a while ago with Tim. And, we passed this document of the 13 items or whatever it is on the political and electoral reform agenda. And we know that there's all these Occupy movements in other cities, other states that are doing something similar. So we wanted to reach out to them and find out what they're doing, see what they think of our document, if there's common ground, certain things that are coming up on everybody's list. And I'm not sure, somebody was it Alexa was going to be doing this, but then I haven't heard anything again, so it seems to me like maybe it's dormant. Yeah.
I contacted Occupy Together. I know all the Austin, Seattle, San Francisco, Portland. They have big electoral reform, really into that. And I have spoken to them. I've spoken to Wisconsin. I've also spoken to Occupy Together, the person in charge of kind of maintenance for the site. And there's even a group they're aware that we're interested in reaching out to them, but it's a little bit more organic, like online, because everybody's so busy. And I think that in the digital realm, the connections are happening. That's why I think it's important we get this Twitter feed up, because they can follow us and we can follow them. And then we can start to know what they're doing in Occupy Oregon around these issues and things like that. On the more grassroots level, I do know the people physically.
Could I finish what I was going to say?
Sorry, I didn't realize I cut you off.
Okay, so like I said, I don't know if what's been done, so that's useful. But what I was going to suggest, perhaps coming from the old world that I come from, that we have somewhat of a structure to it. Let's say there's 50 states, and my understanding is there's some Occupy activity in all those states, or has been, so that we could have a group of volunteers. Let's say we had 10 people, then each person could have 5 states, and just reach out to those states, see what they're doing, see who you can find to talk to, and then at some point report back to this group on the findings. I just think that would kind of inform what we're doing and also inform what they're doing. Because not everybody is on Twitter, and I'm sure we wouldn't capture every organic piece of conversation that's going on, but I personally would like to have it come back to this group in some way. That was my goal.
Stack is open.
One
amazing?
issue.
We went through the proposals quicker than we went through the report backs. So,
One thing about 5 states are very non-organic constructs. Therefore, California, for instance, requires 1 person, while next door to them, Arizona, New Mexico. Okay, Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada, and Utah, for instance, barely require a person. Therefore, when we assign people to keep in touch with things, it should be according to a more rational system than 5 states and 10 people. There should be some kind of systematic assignment.
I'm with him. Sorry, who's on Stack?
I think I wasn't capturing everything you said. So, are you saying we should investigate every Occupy across the country and what their political and electoral reform group are doing?
Yes.
And you're volunteering to do this all by yourself?
No.
Because I think
I would do a piece of it. I said I'd be willing to do a chunk. How much could be done would depend on how many people were willing to do it, and maybe nobody's willing to do it, in which case it won't happen.
You good?
Yeah, for now.
Okay. I started outreach to all the other movement and thematic groups within NYC. And I didn't get to that point yet. And honestly, I'm all for what you're saying. I think it's great, movement building wise, but I don't have time right now. I haven't even completed contacting all of the groups. We have 136 groups just within NYCGA. I haven't even done with that. So for me, I'm totally in favor of what you're doing, but
I didn't say I was doing it.
what's that?
I didn't say I was doing it. It's just a
No.
suggestion.
I think it's It's wonderful. Good luck. No.
And part of our systemic problem, for every working group to replicate this thing is very inefficient. If there was some kind of one, I don't want to use the word centralized, which is a normal word, one working group or one task force that keeps a list of what each working group is working on, and who the other occupiers are in the country, and some short description. It would be very helpful, not only to us, but to every other working group. But that's part of the fact that we are anarchistic.
Perfect.
I don't want to make this larger than it needs to be, but I like the idea. I feel like that would be a great thing for the movement in general, and it need not be confined to political and electoral reform, and I don't think it needs to fall on our shoulders as individuals. I feel like maybe this is a suggestion or a proposal that we could take to the GA or just bring to tech and say, you know what, we need a separate dedicated Interoccupy website. Maybe there already is one. But one to sort of rule them all, where we collect the information you're talking about, not just for political and electoral reform, but it could be for other, it could be for vision statements, it could be for demands or whatever they're calling them elsewhere, where we start to put those things in a central place so we all see them. And I think that's a great idea. I don't think it's going to be. I feel like we should try to put some of the burden on the other occupations rather than just on you and on me or on any of us as individuals. We should say, hey, it's a big movement. Tell us what you're doing so we can help you and so we can tell you what we're doing.
I was all with you until you said put the burden. I'm
Sorry. I'm feeling
Assign
burdened.
responsibility.
the responsibility,
Encourage
Patrick. Damn you.
responsibility.
This is no, but
I have a spare brain over here. I'm going to swap it out.
I don't know what you meant by that. Though. Do you mean that?
That rather than, for instance, asking Karen to take on, it is going to be a burden to be making phone calls or traveling or whatever to figure out what other people are doing, to say, tell us what you're doing, and then we can make our work isn't to go out and collect it and put it somewhere. Our work is to go out and encourage them to put their stuff in the central repository so we can all see it and keep it updated.
Isn't that what Occupy Together is all about? Though?
I don't know. Like, I'm not even familiar with it.
There are multiple international groups, including Global Square, Occupy Together, Occupy US. There are people who are building platforms for this particular process. You know, I feel like that to federate. I mean, I think it's foolish personally to try to build Rome in a day to fight Rome. It's like, you know, asymmetrical. Decentralized groups are very important and very powerful. They can go run counter to traditional organization in the sense that you don't need as many people to create as much of an effect. And I think that personal outreach would probably be far more effective than trying to have tech build something, because you're going to have usability issues as a content strategist. You have usability issues, adoption issues. I mean, you can build the software, it doesn't mean they're going to come. So.
I have a question to that. So are you saying that
there are also security issues?
Are you saying like in foregoing what Patrick's saying, but just taking it upon ourselves? You mean, and do it as an individual rather than starting up another forum or another discussion group?
I mean, before we start to build, you know, the cathedral, why don't we just try and reach out to those groups?
But that's what I think.
Well, Occupy Oregon, Occupy Portland, Occupy Seattle, Occupy Austin, Occupy Missoula.
All right.
Well, I was just going to say we can add to that and like go even more specific. Maybe Occupy Oregon's politics group, and then see it. And then have them go to the
I think that's what Karen was suggesting.
Hit them up on Twitter. You know, ask them who's blah blah blah.
And just a point of information. I mean, we can. It's kind of. I don't know if you know, like you said, making phone calls and all that. Just sending links to our. Finding a way just to connect our link to theirs and using that.
Ooh, can I put myself onto that?
No, you may not. That's against.
I
that's
mean,
wrong.
Yes, I think it's great, and you just want to put it out there to see if anyone will help you, basically, right? See if anyone was interested in doing that, which maybe the people here don't have time or can't do it, but maybe if you posted it in the NYCGA forum, you could find people who are more
That's a good idea.
have more time or more interested, and literally could just. I mean, I know because I felt that way when I started my little thing. Like it was like one person at a time, and I did as much as I could with one person, even if it was just reaching out to one Occupy, one political electoral forum in San Francisco. That's a place to start. I think that's good for this group to make that kind of connection with another group, even if it's just one.
And just so you know, we've had people come to our meetings from Occupy Albany, Occupy Cincinnati, Occupy
Ohio.
Portland. Yeah, and so you could just post something right on our page, and there are people from other Occupy movements that are looking at our page all the time. I mean, we had one of the founders for Occupy Albany at our meeting. And how did she find out? Through our page. So it's not, I don't think we need another subgroup for this. It's something you can very well do on your own, very easily. Anything else? Anyone? Any individual announcements?
I'd like to make it,
Please.
if I may. We, every 6 to 8 weeks, I'm a district leader for the Independence Party of New York. And every 6 to 8 weeks, we get our activists and our organizers citywide together to have a meeting. I'm going to verify the date. I believe it's Thursday, January 26th. We call it Politics for the People. It's an open forum. Anyone can attend. And the woman who gives it is Kathy Stewart. She's the chairman of the New York County Independence Party, and she's also a citywide facilitator, organizer, if you will. And what I'm going to do is I know now how to get onto the Occupy Wall Street NYCGA, and I'm going to post that up there. And if there's any questions, please feel free. You can contact me directly. I'll have my phone number up there and my email address. So
You're going to post on our page.
I'm going to post that on the page.
Any other announcements?
I can make it. Solutions Cluster or Open Clearinghouse or whatever they're calling themselves meets at 5 o'clock right here. So if you're interested in hearing what other groups are talking about, that would be a great time to do it.
There should be somebody.
Are we almost done?
Can I just throw something out there for us to take with us? Are you guys opposed to, like, sometimes there's, like, for instance, Thursday at Revolution Books, there's going to be an open discussion on the build-up to the war with Iran. Are you guys ever opposed to having meetings at different sites, and we could take this information in and come back? Go ahead.
I blocked a proposal at one of the original GAs that suggested that we hold the General Assembly on the picket lines of a meeting. I think it's really important on some level. We can go to field trip, but to
Right.
have a GA at a particular place,
Okay.
it can be. I agree completely with Revolution Books panel, but I think it's unprincipled for the
Okay.
independence.
No,
of our
that's
group.
I just want to throw it out there.
I was gonna say, on what Alexa said, maybe not meetings, but
A field trip.
solutions.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I
just
shouldn't have said
discussion.
meeting.
Yeah.
But
And maybe after dinner and have a discussion, or.
But official meeting should be like the same.
However, but and also it helps to enlighten us on issues and topics to bring back to our meetings for discussions.
That's all right.
No. Wait, Karen was on stack. I'm sorry.
I'll make an announcement when it's time. It's my turn? Okay.
It's your
good.
turn.
So I will just say what I was going to say last, and the other thing, it's just people may have spoken to other Occupy movements, but I myself have not heard what the results of that were. So that's what I'd be interested in. And I think for this group, to know where the energy is around the country on different electoral issues ought to be informing what we're doing. I think that's why I wanted to talk to them and find this information. But obviously it would be a lot of work, so if it doesn't happen in any organized manner, I think that's fine, whatever. The announcement that I was going to make is that I think most of you know that I'm active in the Green Party, and I just wanted to flag to you we're going to be having a campaign school in March. I don't have an actual date yet, but just keep it in your mind. If anyone has ever been interested in running for office, it's a really good way to actually engage with the system and engage directly with people that are there. We're looking for people to run for state senate and state assembly. There's some extremely corrupt people in New York City. Yeah, I mean, 3 of them are like in handcuffs right now. So those are some of the districts.
It's more than that.
In handcuffs. You're probably right. Anyway, so campaign school will just let people know what's actually involved, what it takes, what you need to know, what you need to do, all that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to flag that for people and give you more information as it comes.
Resident photographer would like to make.
I'm sorry.
Not mine.
When you come up with a date, could you post that in our forum?
Sure, I'll post it in the
Please.
forum.
I think that would be
Yeah.
really useful.
Yeah.
And our subgroup is meeting here on Wednesday.
7:30.
7:30?
The
No,
corporate
no.
personhood.
Our corporate personhood subgroup.
Once you post
From
it on,
7 to 9. Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Hey, who exactly is the person that?
get in touch with Tim.
Yeah.
Jackrabbit is
He's MIA.
MIA.
Oh, okay.
Get in touch with Tim, and he'll do it. I can actually do it if you send me the information.
Okay.
If I could
Okay.
make a suggestion, I feel like the heads of the subgroups, or at least like the point people of the subgroups, should become either administrators or moderators
I said that to Jack also.
on the site, so you guys can inform us.
Absolutely.
And
I said that to Jack.
It's not, I'm not blaming you, obviously.
I would love it.
Yeah, I think like
Hey,
we need,
just-
maybe we could consense that that's something we want done.
Okay.
I,
Yeah. Can I hear something?
You know what? You guys can, if you let me
Makes
know,
sense,
I
yeah.
can post stuff. I am one of the
I
moderators.
think it's better if the people who are taking point on these things have access to the site because they're key members of the team. We
Just
wanna-
about everybody who's always at our meetings have access to.
except for Jared.
Except for Jared.
That's got to change.
Well, again, I'm going to get Tim to add you. And please, I don't want to cut her off or take any more. Our resident photographer,
Just briefly, too dark today. I'll come during the week. When do you meet next time?
Thursday at 7:30 right here.
7:30, so I'll come Thursday, and if it's agreeable to you.
But you have to bring a
know,
cake or something.
Oh, come on. But I'll give the
Freshly slaughtered.
I'll give her these so she can just,
No problem. Beautiful.
But I was
Don't give it to
practicing.
her.
I really appreciate them being,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. Great meeting. Glad we got quorum passed. Twitter, you're going to proceed.
Do you know what a pleasure it is for people to be nice and pleasant and decent? Thank you.
If you guys weren't here, me and Patrick would be going.
That's not typical. It is typical. No, it's typical. But he doesn't come up. It's not typical for.
That should be